So I recently worked a high school event. It was the national championship on Grand, and obviously a lot of those kids had a lot of questions. And the most popular question was, if I'm the high school kid asking is, how do I become pro and how do I pursue, what do I need to do to pursue that career? And I think that's a really, really hard question to answer because everybody's different. To get to where I'm at, I think you have some different paths that's been taken. You have some guys that's fished around and then just jumped into the big events and they've had success doing it. But I also know that there's guys that's tried that and not had success. So I want to tell you kind of how I do it. If I was 18 again and wanted to pursue that career, first thing I would do is I would try to be really diverse in fishing. When I say that, I mean I was lucky when I grew up. I had a lot of uncles, my dad. I had a lot of different people that wanted to take me fishing, and they were experienced. They weren't professionals, but they were experienced. So I would go one day with the dude that loves to throw a spinnerbait. I would go one day with the guy that is really, really good at topwaters, one day flipping. So I learned a lot from them on different fisheries. And then we started fishing team tournaments. And whenever we started fishing team tournaments, I mean, we literally started on 10 killer. And we started becoming successful, and then it went to Grand, and then Eufaula. And then it kind of started getting regionally. I mean, when I say regionally, like we started kind of traveling around the state. And then, for most part, team tournaments are limited to an area. So I knew that I had to make a decision and start kind of going out on my own and fishing solo events like BFLs, Pro-Ams, things like that. So I started traveling to Missouri, Arkansas, Texas, to fish these different events, and I was successful. So I want to stop right there. And so what I did was I started regionally, all right, and I started with a lot of help from other people, like learning from them, and then I put the weight on my shoulders, and I was the one making the decisions and things like that. Now, if you want to do what I do, as you're doing that, right now in this sport, the big thing is social media platforms. You cannot start too early. I know guys that are fishing now that don't have a huge following, and their thing is, well, I don't have any followers. Well, I didn't either whenever I got started. And if you go put your resume, or if you give your resume to somebody, or if you talk to somebody, more than likely the first thing they're going to do is look at your social media. They're going to look how what you're about. And then a lot of people can learn a lot of things from social media. So I would start a social media accounts. I would develop relationships with potential sponsors, meaning, go to these tackle stores, go to these companies, and it doesn't have to be within the industry. It can be outside of the industry, but you go to these people and you start talking to them, and they're going to figure out what you want to do. And here's the thing: if they're not able to sponsor at some point, then maybe one of their friends or something like that. I did guiding for a short time whenever I was in college and after college, and it wasn't about the money. It was about to put clients in the back of my boat to build relationships. So that's really all it was about. So we want to fish regionally. We want to develop a social media platform, and you want to live, breathe fishing. And I think in that regional part, I think a real important part of doing this is you got to develop the kind of fisherman that you're going to be. Every fisherman on the Elite Series has a fishing personality. When I say that, maybe personality is not the best word, but a fishing style. You want to develop your style that you're comfortable with, that you have confidence in, that becomes your personality, so people can relate to you when they watch you. You know, if you're if you love throwing frogs, people are going to relate to that. They're going to know, hey, when I see Bill, typically he likes to throw a frog. You obviously got to be good at other things, but for the guys that, you know, are wanting to become pros, and the avenues are different now than when I grew up. We didn't have high school fishing. We didn't have college fishing. There's guys coming out of college that's fished, you know, 100 and 150 tournaments. That wasn't the case when I was growing up. So it is a little bit different. But I think if you talk to 100 of the Elite Series anglers, 75 to 80 are going to have the same story that I did, that they started regionally. You know, they worked at tackle stores, they worked with potential sponsors, and things just fell in place. So, you know, if you're young and you're doing this, it's a great job. Sometimes it doesn't even seem like a job, but that is the best advice that I can give you.